Okay, so the key to successful crowdfunding. There we go. Okay, so first of all, the obligatory introduction. So formerly I was the head of Indiegogo for Australia. I was only in that role for 6 months, but it was a fantastic time. They gave me an all expenses paid trip every quarter to Silicon Valley to go visit Indiegogo head office. They do things very well there. It was like the Silicon Valley style, free breakfast, free lunch. Hello, Tim. And it was really good fun. At the moment, I am founder and chairman of Big Richard, which is a condom brand that I started in 2010. There's actually someone in the room who was a mentor of mine, and sadly for him and I, we both helped to get that business off the ground. And that business is still going, but I'm not as active in that business at the moment. My main passion at the moment is this business called Flow Smart Studios, which is a mobile gaming startup, and we're working on multiple properties in that area. So I'll just go through some of the highlights of some of the stuff that I've done previously. So one of the cool things, aside from the all expenses paid trip to San Francisco, was that I got to help some friends of mine launch a business, and some really hopeless friends that have been telling me for years that they were going to do this and they were going to set up this thing, and they had this great idea and this big dream. And my joining Indiegogo was the catalyst for them to actually get their business off the ground. So this was a friend of mine. He had this idea. It wasn't even actually that unique of an idea, but he had this idea for this pet GPS tracker, and it came about because he lost his cat. And so I helped him set up this campaign. We spent a lot of time on it. I spent much more time on it than what I did with my other clients, so I got a lot of personal attention. And he ended up making $160,000, and he's now doing about $10,000 a week, and he is absolutely $10,000 a week in online sales, and he's absolutely off and running. So I'll talk more about that one in a little while. Big Richard highlights. So that's been a fun roller coaster of a business. We've been up, we've been down, we've been left, we've been right. It's been mentioned in the press all over. We were distributed in around 500 stores, and we've sort of moved away from that. It was too hard to compete, and it's now just purely sold online. So the first video interlude of the presentation, I did warn you to do this. That was my little video, which I produced for a cost of about $350. And let's get that off quickly. Try to go back to this. So that's just bound to happen with Big Richard. That's the crazy world that
was that you?
I don't think so.
Is that
did you crowdfund this?
No, but the funny thing is, I was talking about crowdfunding a little while ago, and I do wish that crowdfunding was much more prominent back at the time that we launched, because the minimum order quantity of condoms is 432,000, and we spent a ton of money that we really could have crowdfunded and just got our customers to pay for that order. But yeah, it's a crazy business, and that's just absolutely typical and standard of the way that business goes for me. And some highlights with Flowspark Studios. So this is Danger Rabbit. This is our first game that we're launching on mobiles and tablets. And it'll work. Okay, so
take things anywhere.
yeah, that's right.
Tech support can come in.
Yeah, please. So let me actually click on there. I've just been clicking anywhere. Okay. Just the one click anywhere would.
You just happen to have the cursor in the right place.
Yeah. So yeah, this is our first game. We're really excited about it. It's launching in a couple of months. The early beta testing looks very positive. People comment that it's addictive, and yeah, we're very excited about it. Okay. This is another game that we're working on. This is Paper Plane Flyer. So this is an endless game, and we're attempting to bring the most peaceful experience to the App Store that there has been. So this one's really cool as well. And finally, this is Hex. So this is our take on a puzzle game. And hopefully this makes somewhere in the vicinity of the $2.4 billion that Candy Crush Saga makes. But, you know, we'll see. Oh yes, and lastly, I'm going to do another video thing for you. So this is Regular Man, and let me just preface it by saying that he is the world's most mediocre superhero, and his superpower is the ability to be normal. That's it. That's what he does. He's just a normal guy, but he is a superhero. That's his superpower right there. Can we go back? Okay. All right, so that's enough about me. We'll talk about crowdfunding. Okay, so does anyone not know what crowdfunding is? Everyone knows. Okay, so there's the funny little description. It's basically people coming together online to financially, in most cases, support a product, a project, or a cause. No? I'm not sure. Okay. I put some animations on this one. So I just put this slide up here because I thought it was funny. It's like 2013 is the year of the crowdfunding gold rush. It's still the year of the crowdfunding gold rush in 2014. So I don't know what 2015 is. It's like a silver or bronze or something. Oh, it's coming back now. Okay. That was interesting. Okay, so some of the crowdfunding platforms, I would dare say that everyone has heard of Kickstarter. Probably not everyone has heard of Indiegogo yet. Has anybody heard of Possible? There's a few, yeah. They were my competitor in Australia, and I didn't like them because they were competing with me. And it was one person versus 20. But they're an Australian business, and they've done really well to build a business, because to be honest, I wouldn't have thought there's much room outside of Indiegogo and Kickstarter, which is, I don't know, maybe, well, of product-based or what you call rewards-based crowdfunding, they must be 90%. The interesting thing is GoFundMe. Has anyone heard of GoFundMe? There's a few that heard of GoFundMe. So GoFundMe is interesting because it's all personal. It's like my aunt is dying and I need money to pay for her surgery, and they just stayed with that, and they came out of nowhere, and they're actually raising more money per month than Indiegogo and Kickstarter. So
Charity list.
personal cause. It's just all people, I need money for this. They share it with they share it on Facebook and their email list, and they've just got tons and tons of campaigns like that. So it's not commercial, but their business model is very, very good, strong.
So which one's yours? Indiegogo?
Yeah, so I worked for Indiegogo for 6 months, and then they made the decision to pull out of the Australian and German markets because they're becoming a very Silicon Valley company. They're very focused on product. Our product is amazing. We don't need salespeople anymore, which is fine. I got to go off and focus on other stuff, but I did lose that all expenses paid trip every quarter to San Francisco, which was a pain. But there's still the big presence in San Francisco, and they kept the people that they've got in Canada and the UK because they made an 18-month investment there, and those markets were up and running. So I got 6 months, and then it was just came to the top. But anyway, it's cool. I get to go on with other stuff. So because it's what I know, or what I did know, and I'm not employed by them anymore, but I'll give them a bit of love. This is the impact that they've had, and the way that their business has grown. About 15 million visits per month. It's not a small website by any means. It's top 1,000, top 2,000 in the world. 70 countries each day. 300,000 campaigns have been launched. It's an open platform, so until recently, Kickstarter was very closed. It was like the Apple App Store. You had to be approved, and Indiegogo was just motoring along as the Android type business model, very open. Anyone can go on there and set up a project. But they, like Android were doing, they were winning market share, more and more market share. So Kickstarter is now quite open as well, with just a few restrictions. And 40% growth Australia in the past year. I can't remember when we did this presentation that had this slide, but I dare say that is a heck of a lot more now, because they've just, did anyone see in the news recently a campaign called Flow Life? Yeah, they've done $5 million. Some guys from Byron Bay. And it's quite funny actually. So in Indiegogo, they do what they call, it's a Kickstarter steal. And they would just get word of a campaign that was about to launch on Kickstarter, and they would get in touch with that campaign owner, and they would offer the world to that campaign owner. So they actually got in touch with me. I wasn't even working for them anymore. I got an email, and they said, we've heard about this campaign, can you get in touch? So I did, and I sent an email, but I actually didn't hear back, and they must have just really moved mountains to get in touch with these people, and they stole it from, it would have been 24 hours. It must have been 24 hours time they were about to launch on Kickstarter. And I didn't even realise they'd done that. I heard that it launched, I heard that they'd made millions of dollars on crowdfunding. And then when I was looking that campaign up for this presentation, I realised that they'd actually launched on Kickstarter. So they did really well. So now that I've told you all about it, I should show it. So yeah, some guys from Byron Bay. If you don't know about the product, I haven't got a video this time, but they have basically created an automated beehive. So They're putting beekeepers out of business, not very nice of them, but it's a hive and it has a tap. So fresh honey, you just turn on a tap and fresh honey comes out of it. So it's very cool, clearly a world first, and clearly they're very happy because they've just done that might be the biggest funded Indiegogo campaign ever. So that's really cool that that's come from Australia. So yeah, just as a means of talking about some Australian crowdfunding success, I thought I would mention that.
So where's the money coming from? Is it predominantly coming from Australia?
Oh, no, it'd be all over, yeah.
So if you have like a plan for looking at a certain amount of capital for a certain venture, if you have a plan of action for what to do with it. For example, if it's such a massive surplus, I mean, what do they do with the funds?
Well, actually have some profit. That would be cool. So they're massively overfunded, and it's gone past their story, and there'd still be people donating, I bet. But really now it's crowdfunding sort of evolving to being a pre-sales platform, particularly when it's product-based like this. So this is just people, I haven't taken a screen capture of the whole screen, but they're just buying this. They're just buying the product, the beehive. So it's people pre-purchasing the product.
I said they're pre-sales, not capital raise.
Yeah, okay, so maybe I should have explained that absolutely fundamental thing. So crowdfunding is people coming together online to fund a product, a project, or a cause. But in the case of products, in almost every case, it is a product that hasn't been built. So that's the whole thing about crowdfunding. It's people who come onto a platform such as an Indiegogo or Kickstarter, and they say, I have a dream, I have a product. This is the product. You create a great story about what the product is, what it does, why it's going to benefit you, and
based on an MVP.
Yes. Yeah. You can even do it without you could just have schematics and drawings of the project, but if you've got of the product. But if you've got a prototype that you can show off in a video, you're going to sell much better. So that's the main thing about crowdfunding. I got ahead of myself. That is, people are pre-funding products. So certainly in the case of products, there's a lot of tech products that launch, like hardware, that launch on crowdfunding. It's evolving to a pre-sales platform, and you've got sites like Indiegogo and Kickstarter that really they have a huge global community of early adopters.
So,
yeah.
So you're talking that some of these people are pre-buying a beehive.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's what they do. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So 12,279. They would have, so with crowdfunding on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, you have a bunch of different offerings, and Indiegogo call them perks. So one of them will be the beehive, but I guarantee you they'll have a $5 thing, which will just be a big thanks. That's what they'll call it probably. And that is people that can't afford the beehive, but they really like this person's story and the product and the project, and they just want to give them some money.
So they're not a shareholder?
Absolutely not.
Well, they don't get anything for their $5 thanks?
No.
They just love it. They just help.
Yeah.
It's like a donation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there'll be a whole bunch of different options to contribute to that, like different prices. But in most cases, it's the product. You're pre-purchasing the product.
But do you also crowdfund to fund your business where you're giving shareholders away?
No, that's equity crowdfunding, and that's legal in New Zealand.
Right. That's
only legal in New Zealand so far. Australia will drag their feet Australian politicians will drag their feet and drag their feet, and eventually come to that party. And that's just going to be enormous when that happens.
So the companies that are doing the crowdfunding for equity in Australia, that's the reason why they're doing it through a New Zealand entity.
Yeah. So like Artesian Capital.
Yeah, Artesian. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're Venture Crowd.
Yeah.
And
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Equitise.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're going to New Zealand to get all set up, get their system set up, and then when Australia eventually passes the laws, then it'll happen here. The Jobs Act in the States is coming through, and when that law is passed, Angel. Does anyone know the website Angel.co? Angel List. That will become the biggest funding platform in the world. That will go from zero to a $10 billion turnover overnight.
But aren't Venture Crowd already crowdfunding in Australia through the New Zealand-based entity?
Venture Crowd got one deal through for Ingogo.
Yeah.
But they did it in a way. They worked with the existing laws of Australia, and they basically got 35 high net worth individuals in on one round and then called it crowdfunding.
Right, so it wasn't really crowdfunding.
It's not putting it openly on a platform and accepting investments as low as $1,000 or $100.
2,000. They've got 30 guys putting in $100,000.
I think it was $100,000. Oh, no, it was 1.2 million, so
yeah,
25, 50, something like that. Yeah.
So it wasn't really crowdfunding the way we're going to know it in the future.
No, the way in the future will be like this. For equity crowdfunding.
Yes.
It'll just be like this, but it'll be a business.
Yeah.
And you'll get shares.
And then that will then create the environment for all the startups to be able to get out of the marketplace and get small chunks of money, because they only need to raise small chunks of money generally.
And it will be an environment that it's not just the rich getting richer, it's not just high net worth individuals seeing all the deals.
Anyone who's doing it.
Anyone.
There are some other questions.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So my question is about the product. So like you say here, minimum $5 to say thank you, or like I was a participant at a book impossible, so I actually physically got a book.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And if I pledged a certain amount, then it was personally, signed.
Yeah.
If you've got a building or a home that you want to crowdfund, so you can either, like, you can't take $5, but they cost like $150,000 for one, which is a lot of money. Not many people are going to crowdfund 150K. Like, you know what I mean? That's a lot.
Yeah.
So is there some businesses that it just won't suit? Like, or is it the strategy around raising funding that will get around that?
So there are businesses that it doesn't suit. One of them, for instance, is an app company, like my company, FlowSpark Studios. Apps are mostly free on the App Store at the moment, so to get people to pay is a bit of a stretch. Still doesn't mean I'm not going to give it a go, but anyway. But in the case of something like a house, you're talking then more about a personal cause. It's like a cause-related crowdfunding project.
No, it's a business that makes modular houses for all sorts of markets.
Right, I see what you're saying. So your customer is one person that spends $150,000. Yeah. So that would be difficult, but it'd be really difficult because people in general, they need bank financing for that. So it's not impossible. I can see it happening in the future, and it would probably happen on there's starting to be vertical crowdfunding platforms for different verticals. I guarantee there's probably 3 that are doing it already for property.
There's certainly the tiny homes movement is beginning to release $10,000 modular homes. But the tiny homes movement are homes that are built on trailers, basically.
Yeah, so, tiny homes.
And they're a slightly different product, but they're probably more suited to this than.
Yes, because it's a low 10 grand. The home does nothing.
No. It's actually for people to live in. It's just that they're just tiny homes. That's all.
So is there an average size deal which you feel would recommend? for a sale, an average size sale, which works really well?
On this?
Yeah.
Yeah, $25 was always the most popular purchase price for any perk, whatever they are. So give away a t-shirt for $25 or whatever you can give away for $25. But the mega crowdfunding ones like this, they've got big ticket items like $200, $300 products.
Yeah, you do the maths, it's 12,000 people who've funded it for 5.3 million, that's about 500 million.
Right, yeah, so it's probably about 600, and there's probably a bunch of smaller perks, would be my guess.
When you say the generate, it doesn't suit businesses?
It's tough. There have been a few. I've actually got a list of the B2B plays that have gotten through, which my contact details are later. I can send that to you, but it's tough to get you have to sell a great story. There's a few that had an open source aspect of their business.
So most of the crowd are just consumers?
Yeah. I'll just keep going, and then I'll do Q&A at the end, because I think it's actually going a long time now. Thank you. Thanks for all the questions. It's good. So that was Flow Hive, and this again I've sort of talked about now, but yeah, this is my friend's business, and he's now got a distribution deal with Pet Barn, and he was on the project, he was on Good Morning Australia, press all over the world, and that all came because he crowdfunded on Indiegogo. One of the great things about Indiegogo is that it's an open platform, it's quite democratic. Once you hit 30% of your funding goal, and you kind of need to do that through your own means, they will then come to the party and start to promote your campaign. So back when Sebastian launched Pod, Indiegogo actually had 6 PR firms around the world, and their remit was to pitch campaigns once they hit 30%. There's a few other things that go with that, and it's called the go-go factor. Once you've got a high go-go factor, the key component of which is hitting 30% of your goal, you would get 6 PR companies around the world pitching your campaign. You'd also get featured on the platform and blah, 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 blah. You get a ton of promotion. Unfortunately, they pulled out of Australia and that's stopped now. There's only 2 PR firms in the States. But still, you get 2 PR companies that actually work for you for free and go, let's tell the story of this campaign. So he got to leverage that a lot, and he got so much press. It was really good to see. Okay, so the keys to success of crowdfunding. I really think it comes down to 4 things. One is a story. You need a really great story. It needs to be, if you can make it more than just your product, and there's a story, that's what people will gravitate to. You need a great video. You need an email list. The crowd does not magically appear. If you don't launch with a targeted email list, then you will launch to crickets. The Kickstarter and Indiegogo are becoming like the App Store. They don't quite have 500 apps launching every day like the App Store, but they do have like dozens of crowdfunding projects, or more. Maybe they're into the hundreds now, but they're all launching on the same day as you. So you have to be able to promote in the early. I'm going to go through quickly some of those 4 points. I'm going to elaborate. So as I said, it really doesn't work well for apps. I can count on one hand the number of apps that got through and got funding on Indiegogo. But this is the funding, the crowdfunding campaign for my company and for our first game, Danger of It. I'm just going to go down a little bit to highlight story. So you see the title that we had is a video game 23 years in the making. So here are the rejection letters that I received as a 10-year-old because I designed a whole video game on paper. And I sent it to my favorite gaming company, and they rejected the idea. And then, because I'm a persistent little shit, I did it again, and I designed another game. It was like 40 pages as an 11-year-old, and so they rejected that one as well. So that's the story that we're pitching to the media, and hopefully that, catches on.
Yeah, that's called a serial entrepreneur.
Tragic, absolute tragic. Yeah, so that was 10 years old.
You've got 23% of your funding?
26%.
26%, so you're like 4% off you're getting your okay.
Yeah, so we'll get to our 30% soon, and then I start calling in the favours. Email newsletter, 3 million people, I'll have that, thank you. So yeah, if anyone wants to fund our crowdfunding campaign, just go to Indiegogo and look up Danger Rabbit. Video, we've got time for a video. It's 2 minutes. Just okay. I'll just show you Sebastian's video because it's an extremely well done video. And it pulls on the heartstrings.
So who did this?
Very, very professional video
I
production.
don't really know where to start. Rango was probably the coolest cat on the face of the planet. He used to ride up to work with me on my motorcycle. We used to go to the cafes together. It was a pretty cool relationship. And eventually I came across a note stuck to a tree saying that they had found this really beautiful tabby cat dead on the side of the road. I decided if nobody else had found a way of tracking cats and dogs, then I was certainly going to. So this is Pod 9. It's the smallest and lightest GPS tracker in the market. It has an interchangeable battery, it's waterproof, it has Bluetooth. But the most important thing is that this device can be attached to your animal's collar and sync to your phone, allowing you to always know where your animal is. You never have to worry about losing your pet again.
We've spent a lot of time getting the product design absolutely bang on. The ergonomic design is really cool with no sharp edges, so it's as comfortable as possible for the animal. The app is a really slick user experience, so it's both fun and functional to use. And we've squeezed as much as we can out of the battery life, getting up to a week's usage.
I don't know, inconsolable if you lost your dog, not knowing where they are or what they're doing, or if they're alive or if they're well.
He's that type that tends to just wander, and then we rely on other people to bring him back. But we're always worried that there'll be a time when we lose him forever.
But one of the most amazing features that we've developed is a pet league, which is like a social network for your animal. This is going to allow you to compare your animal's results across the world, so you'll be able to determine whether you've got the fastest dog in the park or the most adventurous cat in the country. The app also allows you to set safe zone alerts, so you can actually see when your animal breaches the set perimeter through an alert on your phone.
He disappears, he goes on adventures. It's cool like that, just to be able to see what he's done.
Tells us how fast each dog ran, and then we can compare them to see which one.
Okay, I'm just running out of time, but obviously you can see the production value in that video. I've got 2 more slides and then and the net result is a $160,000 crowdfunding campaign, press all over the world, and
In what space of time?
in 30 days. Right. Most crowdfunding campaigns are 30 days. Oh, actually, he extended to 60.
Right.
So building an email list. Sorry for the self-promotion again. But this is the business that we bought. This is the FlowSpark that we built. This is the FlowSpark Studios product. It's called User Bump. It's in beta. It doesn't look great at the moment if you look up. But anyway, I built this as a result of my time at Indiegogo, which is every single crowdfunder that we would speak to. the number one thing we were trained to ask is, do you have an email list? The number one response that we were given was no. So I've created this product that helps people build an email list using viral and social mechanisms. And if you look that up in about 2 weeks' time, it will be looking much better than what it is today. And a great product, project or cause. I haven't got much time to talk about this one, but this is one of Indiegogo's best campaigns. It's got the whole solar aspect, save the world aspect. This got onto like Letterman and everything. And basically they had figured out a way to put solar panels in the road.
Yeah, I've seen this.
It's so pie in the sky, it's ridiculous, but they managed to get an incredible amount of funding because it was a good cause. And oh yes, finally, couldn't help myself, but I realised this is a bit about finance and funding. So for any venture capitalists in the crowd, Flow Smart Studios is actually looking for investment at the moment. Okay, now I'm done.
Thanks a lot.